Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the last panel discussion of the day. After this, I think we have a short presentation of 5 minutes. So this will be the penultimate event of the Retail Leadership Summit 2022. What are we going to discuss today? Agility, business model, and customer centricity, getting the ABCs right. According to Forrester, 2022 will be a year of investment and new partnerships as retailers position their business model, strategy, marketing, stores, and operation to flourish in a post-pandemic world. Retail experts predict that operations, returns, and speed of delivery will be key differentiators. Online will continue to flourish, omnichannel will mature, and hybrid shopping will become a standard. Social commerce, rethinking in-store experiences and augmenting experience instead of product will become imperative. Private labels also will gain preference. To succeed in the new era, retail businesses will have to get their ABCs, that is the agility, business model, and customer centricity, right. Thanks to the current situation, retailers are now convinced about the need for agility and are equipped with the lessons to achieve it. Customer centricity also will be different than what it was in the pre-pandemic times. According to an article of Forbes, companies that provide an emotional connection with customers outperform the sales growth of their competitors by 85%. Forrester also found that before the pandemic, messaging was ranked 5th in customer service channel usage. Now it's 2nd. So messaging is number 2 in ranking. Furthermore, 55% of the customer service teams report an increased customer preference for interacting over digital channels. And last, it is clear that retailing in the new era will require retail businesses to get their fundamentals right, while also adopting to newer ways of thinking and working. This panel discussion is aimed at giving a blueprint for the same. With this, I would like to ask the first question to Subhash Chandra, Managing Director, Sangeetha Mobiles. Subhash, how has the business model changed of late? Of late in the sense, in the present scenario, and how difficult it has become right now to manage that business model?
Good evening, everyone. Subhash Chandra from Sangeetha Mobiles, headquartered at Bangalore, spread all over South India, and recently we entered Goa also. We have 750 stores, all company-owned stores. And I'm the second generation. My son has just joined the business. Sangeetha is a 48-year-old company. We were the first ones in the country to start mobile retailing in an organized manner with a bill and warranty. So we had to go through all the hardships in the initial years. So therefore, always we were inventing and reinventing ourselves to try and appeal to the customer, because when we started selling mobile phones, gray market was ruling. So insurance on mobile phones was introduced by us, EMI on mobile phones was introduced by us way back in 1997. So in spite of that, though we don't have much say as we are just a retailer, and all the brands that we deal with are MNCs, and there is very little value addition apart from the product knowledge, apart from the ambience that we can provide. So we have always been reinventing ourselves. We introduced price drop protection 6 years ago when online Amazon and Flipkart came in a big way. We introduced price drop protection and said, within 30 days, if there is a price drop, we call you and refund the money. So just don't bother about whether Amazon or Flipkart online is offering cheaper than Sangeetha. Don't bother, because even tomorrow, if there's a 5,000 rupee price drop, I'll call you and refund. So that way, we made a difference 7 years ago. Then we introduced liquid damage, physical damage. Originally, we had only theft protection way back in 97 with an FIR. Then we introduced liquid damage, physical damage. Over the counter, less than 5 minutes, we give you a spot replacement. That's the modus operandi. And no insurance here, it's all assurance. We took it to the next level recently by saying, for a nominal sum of about 10% that you pay at the point of buying the phone, we printed a check-like thing which said money back guarantee, and we gave it to the customer and said, and we sort of something like our famous Rajmouli's movie RRR. Sangeetha introduced RRR on October 1st. Repair, replace, refund. So you buy a phone, 1 year, anything happens, you get it repaired. That is, physical damage. You get it repaired. I'll reimburse the amount within 7 days to your bank account. You broke it into 2 pieces. You get a brand new phone. You dropped it in a bucket of water. You get a brand new phone. No questions asked, over the counter. Nothing happened for 365 days. We will call you in the 13th month and refund that extra 10% that we collected. So repair, replace, refund. This is what Sangeetha introduced recently because, something keeps troubling me if I don't come out with something new all the time. And this is one of the things that we have done. On top of it, at Sangeetha, we have a dozen NBFCs that we work with. A customer who doesn't have a debit card or a credit card also gets to buy on EMI. And as soon as you walk in, there is a QR code that the customer gets to scan, and he gets to know the credit limit that is approved to him instantly within a fraction of less than a minute. So therefore we are in a position to upgrade and sell a better phone to him on 0 down payment, 0 interest, 0 processing fee. So this is how we have tried to be different. And on top of it, one of the other things that we did was we did away with the printing, and we started doing, of course, many of our retailer friends are doing that. And we send the bill through the WhatsApp, and we get the feedback. We are getting, in fact, our number of customers, those who are indulging in giving us a feedback, has gone up ever since we introduced this on the WhatsApp bill. On top of it, we have for the last few years, we have been doing 2-hour delivery on the online. If you place an order on sangeethamobiles.com, anywhere in South India, excluding Kerala, because Sangeetha is yet not there in Kerala, we were delivering in 2 hours flat. That we are, actually re-engineering our website, and we are relaunching a totally new, robust website in the next 15 days, where, including Goa, we would be able to continue to not only 2 hours, probably we can deliver in 1 hour, along with all the possible NBFCs, that 1 dozen NBFCs available online also. Nobody today offers the NBFC finances online. You get only if you have a debit card or a credit card, or at least a Bajaj EMI card if you have, only then you get to enjoy the EMI facility. So we are building a complete EMI across all banks, debit card, credit card, and all NBFCs, as also the entire buyback with the best buyback price in the country. And today, I must also tell you, many of you may not know, sorry, I'll take 30 more seconds.
Please.
There are almost 60 models amongst the most famous Apple, OnePlus, Samsung, and MI, at least these 4 brands, which come with something called upgrade bonus. Most of the retailers in the mom and pop store space, actually that upgrade bonus is actually pocketed by the retailer. It is not out of choice, but there is a loophole in the system, so they actually pocket it. Only the organized retail chain stores, they pass on the benefit to the customer. But if I fail to pass on, that is, if our store staff fail to talk about it, that entire riches go back to the OEM. So there's no way actually that the retailer can make money out of it. Either the store, the sales guy can do some manipulation and he can make the money and pocket it, or he can pass it on
Yeah.
to the customer. So we have offered all these upgrade bonuses online, anywhere in the country. In fact, all metro cities we can deliver in 24 hours. And this is what
Thanks.
we have been doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Subhash ji. I think, from a business model and a customer centricity perspective, the value-added services that you just hinted about, the RRR, that is the replace, repair, and refund, the NBFC part, that is the credit tie-up that you have done with the various NBFCs, 2-hour flat delivery, that is another point, buyback and upgrade bonuses. I think these are some of the key instruments and, small,
the best value for the buyback, because there are so many: Servify, Cashify, One Assist, then Twarita, Minte. There are so many apps who run diagnostics app. Each is a different company.
Yeah.
Each have their own algorithm which is running at the back end, by which they throw out a price. So we are building a model which is 15 days away, where it will throw out the best buyback price. It will take the buyback price from all the 5, and it will give you the best.
Excellent.
Online.
The customer centricity at its core. Thank you, Subhash ji. So, the way you are managing your 700 stores, this is just the gist of it. Thanks for the insights. Let me go to another category today, and that's lifestyle retail. We have got Raghu Rajagopalan, President and CEO, Max Retail Division, Lifestyle International. Raghu, my question is the same to you, that, how has your business changed, and what have you done innovative to, cope up with that change?
Yeah, this is Raghu Rajagopalan. I operate the business of Max Fashions. We are 400 plus stores in India, serving across about 175 cities. So, we are into the value fashion business, right? Majorly apparels, footwear, and accessories. So one of the changes which has happened in the last 5 years, where the online has started penetrating, because your data communication has become much affordable. So we are predominantly a brick and mortar organization to start with for last 10 years, 5 years plus we are becoming online. The last 3 years or 4 years, we've been focusing on how do we bridge both these channels into an omni-channel, effective omni-channel mechanism, right? So we have taken a lot of initiatives in making the customer journey, whether the person or the customer buys offline or online, how do we integrate? That means buy offline, return online, or buy online, return to the store, exchange, refund, credit notes, etc. All those ecosystems, everything has been integrated. And in retail, when it comes to customer centricity or the business by itself, there are two things which are important. One is the customer. Other one is the staff, the store which is managing the staff, because ultimately they are the people going to service the consumer. So how do we make their life easier? So the two ways that what we have been working on. As digitalization is going to be the game changer in every field of business, we have also started embracing various technologies. One from the consumer point of view. So we have recently introduced an app called Max Buddy. So basically it's a application which can be downloaded once a customer comes into the store. Just download the QR code, so they get the Max Buddy application. It gives the customer's life, makes life very simple and easier. One, by virtue of they getting the download of Buddy, and then with a click of an information for about 4 or 5 steps, the customer becomes the active member of our CRM program. And the moment he gets enrolled, automatically it will be on the screen what are the generic offers which are prevailing in the store. That second, it enables the customer to do a self-checkout. They can do the billing, online payment automatically. They need not have to wait for the queue and things like that. And as the customer goes around shopping, because the Max is a family store where it cut across ladies, men's, and kids, and also multiple facets of categories of products. Based on the customer journey, the back-end engine, the artificial intelligence, it starts working and make certain instant offers to the consumers with a predefined algorithm based on the customer journey with us. And then start getting the penetration more. End of the day, how do we make the customer basket size improve is what is all important, because the customer, if fulfilled with all these kind of sections, probably I get the maximum share. I don't lose out the customer to the competition, etc. And that makes the life simpler, and a customer need not have to go and ask.
Raghu? Sorry, I wanted to ask one question on the instant offers. How does that happen, if with an example?
So basically, if a customer has been in the past history that he has been purchasing only a menswear kind of product, so we send a top up to him that, you buy another division product, probably you buy a ladies wear, only for today, you get a special offer. You get a 5% or 10% discount. Basically, make the customer to penetrate across the divisions. The moment the customer start experiencing all the divisions, then the loyalty for the customer also increases towards the brand, because it becomes a single stop solution for all the family needs in terms of the fashion requirement or the apparel requirement. That's how we do it.
So this is a classic example of customer focus and customer centricity. That if I'm buying white shirts or shirts every time, automatically Max Buddy is going to throw something to me which is related to that. Am I right, Raghu?
Yes.
So
Yes.
This is awesome. This is an example which I had given way back in 2015, when a housewife goes inside to a hypermarket and she gets, let's say apples, and these are Kashmiri apples. So next time when she comes, she's going to get the notification, we have got Kashmiri apples, and this is an exclusive stock, that you can, take it, or whatever that it is, and if her basket is more onions and potatoes, then she may add something else also, which she buys every time. So that notification does come. But at that time, it was a theory, and it was being implemented somewhere in Europe or in some other country. But it was just a concept. I'm talking way back in 2015. But this Max Buddy has, made that possible, and there are many such cases, about the customer centricity and how the organization is taking this business model to the next level by adding customer to the core of it. With this, I would like to move to specialty lifestyle, and that is Avnish, directors Neeru's. Avnish, I have 3-4 questions for you, but I will ask just a simple question. During this chaos, you were agile, and I have seen that Neeru's being agile. You had managed your business model and keeping the customer in mind. With the introduction of Neeru's, can you throw some light on that as well?
So I'm Avnish from Neeru's. We are almost a 4-decade-old brand. So we deal in ethnic wear, and especially for women's and kids. So we've got about more than 50 stores across the country, along with around more than 75 point of sales with the LFS shop-in-shop format across the country again, along with one of our international stores in Middle East and Dubai as well. So coming back to Hitesh, I think we had a very strong conversation before this meeting happened over here in front of you. And we got so many inputs from all of them. But what happens is, when you talk about ethnic, I can see a lot of ladies sitting in the audience, and you might relate it more, because ethnic is more like your, if you see 80% of the ethnic category in the country is operated as family business. It's going on from generations. And maybe they are restricted to that street or that city or that state. You barely find a brand that has actually come out and, the presence in north, south, east, west, or even out of the country. So there are barely any good ethnic wear brands which have been able to do that, apart from some corporate fusion wear brands, because fusion is a different category altogether. But when you talk about ethnic specifically, so it's very restricted to your, you can say, gali ki dukaan ya nukkad ki dukaan. You're used to buying a sari or a suit from there for ages, or you go for a wedding there for ages. But is there a brand in the country that's available selling fashion, not just mass fashion, value fashion, high fashion, but just ethnic fashion across the country? So that's a rarity. So that is one opportunity that, as a brand Neeru's, we found in the country, and that's how we planned our expansion throughout. And coming back to agility and customer centricity, I think it's a very tricky thing. We were also having this conversation. Is there really brand value that exists today? But when we come from a 4-decade-old history personally I've seen when we stand at our stores and, there are conversations made by ladies that, I'm shopping here since generations. Maybe she was a 16-year-old and now she's a 60-year-old. So, she's still a shopper with a brand like us. So that gave us a good strength in understanding that, her 40 years, if she could come back to a store like us, then that means there is still that brand importance within consumers, which is there. Just that how you can tap it, how you can cater to them, that is the most important part. And when you talk about ethnic, put how much ever brain, but sabse zyada dimag lagta hai product pe. Because operationally and everything, if I think it's been always there in our minds, if something can be handled operationally and in terms of all the wings in a retail company, from HR, marketing, operations, everything, but the main core is always your product. And ethnic, as Neeru's, we deal from a 500 rupee kurti to a 5 lakh rupee lehenga or a kanjivaram sari. So it's very difficult to bifurcate how you can cater, who your customer is. If I'm having a store maybe in Commercial Street in Bangalore, or have a Santa Cruz store in Bombay, or even have a store in Karol Bagh in Delhi, or Bardubai in Dubai, how am I generalizing or standardizing my product? So that customer centricity, as Hitesh said, is a very tricky question. And one such example, I think we were talking in the room, so it just came out of my mind because we are sitting in the time around Ramzan and Eid is coming up. And one such thing came to our mind when we were talking to some of our partners, and we talk about collaborations. It's not such a big thing to have a big collab or something that you do very big. Sometimes a small conversation can turn into a collaboration, which is customer centric. So when we spoke about Eid, so I had off-the-hook conversations with a lot of LFS partners, one of them sitting right next to me, and we were trying to figure out that what are you doing for Eid? Because when I spoke to about 100-odd customers, because we are based on, originated out of Hyderabad, and places like Hyderabad, Lucknow, Chennai, there are a lot of densely populated people who actually celebrate Eid like a big occasion. So whenever I had a conversation, they said, "Arey yaar, Eid ki dress to Neeru se hi lena hai." So that got my head, and I said, let's create that Eid ki dress hashtag and actually promote it within customers so that they can actually come back to us. So that's how maybe I'm trying to buy that footfall by showing them that your Eid ki dress has to be from Neeru's. But how do I do it apart from my stores? So I have a strength with LFS partners, and when we spoke to them, many of them didn't even remember when Eid is, because some people think that it's not as important. But when we had that conversation, they ended up saying, are you fine with doing something in our stores with Eid? So we said, 100%. Do you have customers like that? Yes. They pointed out some stores where we even didn't have presence, and they actually ended up giving us more number of doors to represent with Neeru's and talk about that Eid ki dress concept. And maybe in just, I think if I go back a week back, we did this in 4 days, and more than 60 stores across maybe lifestyles and shopper stops and all of those. So we had about 60 to 65 stores, more than I think about 7 to 8,000 pieces in their stores in just 4 days' time. So that's how a customer-centric brand collab can also be done, and you can get the customers, to your marketing that you're speaking, which is something related to Eid in this case. So that's how probably diverse retail is. That's how diverse our partners can be. It's only the timing. Maybe a cricketer hitting a shot, or you're doing something in retail. You have to have the right timing. जैसे हिंदी में बोलते हैं, लोहा गरम है तो हथौड़ा मारना है, ठंडा है तो मुंह पे ही लगने वाला है. So when it's hot, you gotta hit it at the right spot, and then is when you get results. So probably that is something from my side.
Thanks, Avnish. That was very insightful. From specialty, lifestyle, ethnic, let me take you to outdoors. And here we have got our dear colleague Ankur Bhatia, CEO Columbia Sportswear, Mountain Hardwear, Deuter. Sorry, Ankur, you can introduce yourself.
So complicated outdoors is that even
Introduction itself is difficult. But at the end of your speech of this next 5 minutes, Ankur, half of this room should be, coming to you and say, boss, I am going to the next trip where you are sponsoring or where you are organizing. Okay?
Well, thanks a lot, Hitesh. Well, my company is into outdoors, and outdoor basically doesn't mean just going outside this hall or any the hotel. We are basically into trekking, hiking, mountain biking, mountaineering, and such activities. So that's about the company. It's based in Delhi. And we are expanding really rapidly. Columbia Sportswear obviously is the biggest brand which we have. And we are getting a lot of other brands also in the country. Deuter, Buff, Black Diamond, Bial, and many others. Regarding
Ankur, yeah, sorry. Also throw some light on the Indian consumer succinctly, if you can, because outdoors is not something which Indians are mostly, it's not as developed as the Westerner.
Yeah, I'll give
Yeah.
two examples of listening to the consumer with intent.
Yeah.
And I'll quote Steve Jobs when he said that the consumer doesn't know what he really wants. And you have to really intently listen to what the consumer is actually wanting. And I'll give you two examples. One is a boring example, and second one is a more interesting and emotional example of that. Let me start with the boring one. Our return rates and our call center queries were very, very high, and the consumer really wanted to know the order status most of the times. That is when you listen to the consumer and decide to go for fast deliveries, right? You change the logistics provider, you ask your stores, omni-channel, warehouse, everywhere, to start dispatching the goods faster than others. Faster. So before the consumer can call you, your order should actually reach the consumer, right? Basic. There is no rocket science in that. Everybody is doing that. People are talking about 5-minute, 10-minute deliveries these days. And that was something which we also incorporated. And through our omni-channel store network and through the fastest deliveries possible, by air, everything, we started doing that. Boring example, everybody knows, everybody does. Our another customer is the Indian Army. Every year, more than the battle casualties, Army Jawans used to die in avalanches. The Indian Army was confused as to how to handle this particular issue. Why are our Jawans, and these Jawans are posted right from Kashmir till Arunachal Pradesh in the worst of the terrains. Right? We are very comfortable here, but they are in the real outdoor stuff. Every year Jawans used to die, around 35 to 40 Jawans, and sometimes the entire platoon which was on duty used to disappear. And the search party also used to get disappeared, because when an avalanche hits, within 8 hours, another avalanche hits in the same location. So the search party also died. So we listened to we knew that there was this concern. And fortunately for us, there is this brand known as Deuter, which was founded in 1898 in Germany. They make a backpack in which there is a button on the right-hand side. If you press that button, a giant balloon opens up behind you. And if you are stuck in an avalanche situation, the balloon opens and you don't get trapped in the snow and the stones and the debris. And the Jawan survives. And now it is a mandate from October to March, when most of the avalanches hit. The Jawans are supposed to wear this backpack and then go for their whatever duties they do. So a lot of times the customer doesn't know what the problem is. The problem they don't know, but they don't know the solution. And hence status quo exists. So that status quo needs to be broken by businesses by listening with intent to what the consumer is facing. That consumer can be normal B2C consumer, it can be B2B, or it can be the armed forces also, like in our case.
Excellent. Listen to the consumer. Be customer centric, but for that only one word, and that is listen. So if you cannot change the status quo, then you will remain where you are. Status quo of the consumer. That's what this beautiful example said, and how customer centricity can be implemented. Excellent example, Ankur, and I hope many such lives across will be saved in the future as well. So from outdoor, let's go to I will select fine dine. Yeah, please, you can.
The casualties, by the way, have drastically fallen. Not just because of the bag. The bag was one of the prime reasons, but avalanche casualties have considerably reduced in the Indian Army now.
Okay. So thanks, Ankur. From here, let's go to QSR Fine Dine. We have got Ashutosh Bihani, CEO of Dindigul, Thalappakatti. How many of you have heard of Thalappakatti? Wow, excellent. So Ashutosh, or half the work is done. You know, they say well begun is half done. So आधा तो हो गया. And now whatever you say, they will think about biryani. So you know, it's like that way. But you know, I wanted to ask you some. I have been to your stores, you know, outlets, and I have also relished your veg biryanis. Having said that, you know, what about uh, the challenges that you have faced, you know, because we would, if you can give two examples. One is about how you have come across the challenges, that is the agility part of it, and other is the online onslaught, or how you are tackling that part of it.
If I can take
Please,
1
yeah,
minute on
before.
customer side.
Yeah.
Right. So I think first of all, last 2 months ago, I was in Delhi and I was introducing the brand. I think only 1% of the people knew it. Finally, at least some of the people know this brand. We are largest biryani brand of the country, based out of Chennai. We have 100 restaurants in India, outside India, in US, Paris, Sri Lanka, Dubai, Malaysia, and large part of South India. As far as I'm concerned, I've been a private equity investor for 6 years, and then liked the business so much that I became the CEO of the business. Coming to the question, listening to customer, I was speaking with Mr. Raghu some time back, right? So what is needed and how we listen to customer. We actually call back 20% of our customers on a daily basis.
Wow.
Right? So we try to reach out to them, out of which we end up reaching to around 40% of them reply to us. So I have around, on calling around 8 to 9% of the customer I speak on a daily basis. My call center speaks, right? Why? It's a cost. Why do I do that? I could have sent a message. I could have sent an SMS, where the reply rate is around 4 to 5%. In the best of the players like Landmarks, and for normal player, I think it's around 1% of the customer reply. Right? Why do I do that? Because I think customer centricity cannot be done in boardroom. It needs to happen in the restaurant or in the store where your employees are, who are facing customer. And why I say that? Based on that 20% calling, we give one rating to every customer what we call for, which is called CPI, Customer Pulse Index. Right? So this is, my business exists because I am listening to customer, and there is a pulse index which is running, which tells me whether my customer is satisfied or not. How this is connected to the business? The CPI is connected and bifurcated into food being the core for me, service, and the ambience. And the fourth one is the value for money. So there is a rating for all these 4 parts within the business, which tells me whether I am going down on which rating, whether today in Ambattur in Chennai, whether my product was great, average, bad. And that's how I get to know what's happening in the restaurant. And by the way, I'm a vegetarian running this 90% non-vegetarian food brand. Right? So how do I know it? This is how I know it. Right? What are some of the instances? Like when we landed up in Bangalore, this brand is known for its mutton boneless biryani. Right? For 64 years of our life, we sold only mutton boneless biryani. When we landed in Bangalore, and when we started speaking to customer said, I prefer here more mutton biryani with bone. Right? And for that, after listening for 2 months, we actually introduced the bone biryani in Bangalore. Right? And that's what has become 25% of my sales mix today. If I would have not learned, listened to customer, I would not have done it. What happens is every employee in the company is linked to this CPI. If you are a chef, your product CPI will be connected. If you are a service guy, waiter, captain, and their incentives are linked to this CPI index. So that's why I think I'm very obsessed about customer centricity. I may end up speaking a lot. Having said that, agility and how business models have changed during this period. I think COVID is something which all of us have now bored of listening to, but it has definitely taught us a lot of lessons which have changed the business models for the life for all of us. When 2018, I was sitting in a boardroom as a board member of one of the largest QSR brand of the country, we were figuring, and that was a time when Swiggy, Zomato, and the aggregators were trying to grow. So we were worried about, so the question was asked whether we need to partner or we need to counter. Because they were gaining the sales disproportionately. Our disproportionate customers were coming on their platform. I think the right decision which was taken by us, which was a gamble, but it was that we can, our hypothesis then was that you cannot fight what customer wants to eat and where customer wants to eat. And that's what has given us, now after 3 years of complete going through this process where delivery has become ranging from 20 to 50% of the businesses, actually this food delivery has given a new segment of customers who are preferring to have food at home. They may be same as your dine-in, but occasion for them is different. So that's why what did we do? We started from like when I was on the board of Barbecue Nation, we had zero delivery business when COVID hit us in April 20. And with 100 stores, 7,000 employees, we were thinking, how do we survive? And that's when we started delivering this barbecue in a box, which has now become 20% of the business, right? So I think first and foremost, listen to customer and your employees. There will be queues out there. And after doing enough analysis and your comfort level of the business model, that's when you need to take a call. You will never be 100% sure, but I think if you follow the process, it will be 90% right.
Thanks, Ashutosh. Again, listen is the key word here as well. And your CPI, that is the Customer Pulse Index of food, service, ambience, and value for money. I think this is awesome. This will give you the track of each and every outlet, and you can customize and fine tune your customer centricity metrics as per the outlet. Thank you, Ashutosh. After eating that very tasty biryani, let me go to the Medkart pharmacy. Not because it was that, but because I had it too much. Okay. I relished it too much that I had to go to the pharma. And here we have got our colleague, PC, Parsharan Chari, co-founder Medkart Pharmacy. And PC, just introduce yourself and the company, and then, we'll talk about your business model and the challenge in the getting the ABC's right objective.
So it's a medicine retail, and as much as I want none of you to be my customer ever, I would want you to absolutely understand what we are trying to do. It's a business which existed maybe, I don't know, before whoever was born in this room. And there's a certain way of working. There's a doctor who writes a prescription, and that prescription goes to the pharma retail. Either the guy says, I have the medicine and gives you the medicine, or he says, I don't have the medicine, doesn't give you the medicine. It's an absolutely mundane, emotionless, least commitment job. Like, I'm sure that when I go to buy a mobile, I'm happy. I go to buy clothes, I'm happy. I go for outdoors, I'm excited. When I'm going for a biryani, I'm excited. But for medicine, you won't believe, they don't even believe in eye contact with you. Like, kuch bhi hai, de do. Now, when you are in that kind of an industry and you want to change the whole behavior, we are now talking about educating someone. We are like, okay, there's a medicine written on your prescription. That's actually a brand, which the doctors through their own association have said that they will not write a brand, but they do it because of older practices. While that is happening, our job is to educate that there's a brand, but there's a molecule. Please understand. Say, for example, aap normal sa crocin lene aate ho. So crocin, Decol Total, Dolo 650, Saridon, Calpol, they are all the same from different companies. But a lot of times we are not educated in the right sense. And crocin is something which we know is a home brand. But on the other hand, if it is as specific as a diabetes medicine or a cholesterol or a BP or something like that, it requires education. It actually requires comfort and discomfort ka sweet spot where I think I'm educated, I think I'm empowered to change my brand. And instead of Dr. Reddy's, let me take Cipla. Instead of Cipla, let me take Zydus. Let me take Sun. Let me take something else. Because all of them are governed by the same quality standard, which is WHO GMP. Which is where we pitch in. We come in and educate a medicine for its content, substitute it with an equal quality. And when we say equal quality, we are not the flag bearers of that quality. It is the standard, the highest standard in the country, which is called WHO GMP. And we want to reduce the bills of people. This is what we've been doing through our 100-odd retail stores. And now with the fact that we have to listen to a customer, it's become customary that you go everywhere where the customer is. So if he says, I'll order online, okay. If he says, I'll come to the store, okay. I'll return online, okay. I'll come and give it back to you, okay. Do you want anything else more complicated? You want to go and place at one store and pick it from the other? Okay, I'll listen to everything. Just be my customer. Because today what has happened is that because of so much noise, the first transaction is what is happening is because of his current state of mind. And it is so necessary to capture that at a fundamental level is that we are giving the most value at the best quality and connecting till the last mile. Because we are a hyper-local medicine, we are deeply present in Gujarat with close to 85 stores there and another 15-odd stores in Jaipur. And even going forward, we see ourselves being present there only.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, PC. With this, let me go to our friend Swami from Parto. And Swami, can you introduce Parto and how are you affecting, what are the basic requirements of the customer and what are brands doing for it? You can throw some light there as well.
Sure, thank you. Good evening, everyone. First, thanks to RAI for organizing everything and making the event happen. Before I get started, I'm Swami from Parto. Show of hands, does anyone here know Parto? All right, fair enough. So, Parto, actually, we have a very unique perspective on the discussion today because where we really stand is right in between the customer needs and also perspective from what the retailers are trying to offer the customers. So we can take a step back and really look at the entire interaction in terms of how can the retailers not miss out on anything that the customers may be looking for but may have been forgotten in the chaos of trying to do a lot of things at the same time, right? So that is where we come in. So at the base of things, Parto is a SaaS platform that helps retailers to map their entire online presence of their retail network, centralize their information, and at the end of the day, make sure that every time when there is a customer looking for a product or service that they provide, they're able to be aware that there is a store nearby that provides this product or service. Number two, get as much information as possible in that first crucial touch point. I'd like to elaborate a bit more in a couple of minutes, but just to wrap up what Parto does, we also help brands to manage their online reviews, and the latest one we're working on is Google Live Messages. Now, quickly to go back into what I would like to talk a bit more about. When there is a customer making a search in what we call a local search, right? Every time show of hands, when you made a search, let's say 4 years ago, how much information were you able to get or what were you looking for that you could find on Google? And how much information did you have to go to other websites to find out? I know that's not really a yes or no question. Let me rephrase. Show of hands, would you say right now from 4 years ago, you use websites much lesser and you can get a lot more information in the first touch point? Yep. Okay, I'm just seeing what I'm doing. I'm not phrasing my questions very well. But I think the general consensus here is people say, yes, you get a lot more information in the first touch point. Yeah? Okay. Google estimates today that 63% of searches that happen on Google are what they call zero-click searches. Essentially, I make a search, already I know exactly what I'm looking for, and I can have a call to action. I can call the store that I want to contact. I can send a message. I can directly get the directions and go to the store. That is Google's estimate today. Now the question becomes, and the challenge for retailers is, when we are still developing websites and providing a lot of value, it could be through a mobile application, it could be through a website, etc. What percentage of our end users are actually accessing these applications, these websites? On the contrary, how many people on a daily basis are expecting information on that first touch point that we might not be providing as of today. So this is really where we stand at the base of things. Coming back to the topic at hand, when we talk about customer centricity, we need to also take into account making sure that we get the basics of customer needs satisfied. So what am I talking about? The basics could be things such as, if I'm looking for a store near me, I want to be sure if the store is open or not. I want to be able to contact the store in minimum clicks as possible. I want to be aware of what offers or promotions are possible, maybe the product catalog. Traditionally, these are things that would take me 10 to 15 clicks, 2 to 5 minutes to get the information. However, these days, customers want the exact same information with 4 or 5 clicks, 30 seconds. That is a very interesting challenge to tackle, and that is actually the space I believe that we are moving into. Moving forward, what is expected from the customers to the retailers is, in that 30 seconds, can you provide me all the information I'm looking for, and at the same time, make it personalized, customized to my needs, and make sure that I'm satisfied from the first discovery phase all the way to conversion.
Okay. So right from the discovery till the conversion phase, you'll have to ensure that the whole cycle is optimized so that the consumer can, get the best out of it.
Yeah.
So with that, Swami, what we'll do is we'll come back to you if time permits. We'll now ask Ram to introduce himself. Ram is the co-founder and CEO of Actyv.ai. Ram, please.
Good evening, everyone. Just to kind of introduce what Actyv.ai is, we are a technology company. We're a hardcore technology company designing the future of B2B payments. Just to give you an analogy of where we sit in between a stimulus and a response. The orchestration of the response is the layer that Actyv.ai is all about. So in the sense of B2B, we are enabling the future of payments. And in that sense, what we're talking about is orchestrating the future of the buy and sell, or the sell and buy that happens between B2B. So that is what Actyv.ai is. The relevance in terms of our participation in this particular event, while there are enough retailers who are catering to consumers, consumer behavior, customer centricity, business model changing, and all of these sense of things that are currently happening. Actyv.ai's firm belief is, while the e-commerce and the consumer focus is predominantly kind of casting a big stuff on the consumer behavior currently that's running, it's important to kind of power the entire ecosystem that's been built over a period of time, like what Sangeetha Mobiles is, or a Max Retail, or the Thalappakatti is, or the Neeru's is. So from an enterprise standpoint, the supply chain that's been built over a period of time needs capital. Now, the highest cost of capital today is equity, and the lowest cost of capital today is debt. Now, for every enterprise in its supply chain ecosystem, the powering of this debt or credit is what Actyv.ai is envisaging to do, and that's what we call as the future of payments. And that's where the BNPL perspective comes into play, where largely today we, Sangeetha Mobiles introduced all of this buy now, pay later ages back, while the supply chain funding has been there from 1878 since the single mission kind of did. Yeah. The analogy to that entire stuff is that IBM storage machine was there, the AWS cloud architecture is there today. Actyv.ai is going to be the cloud architecture for the B2B payments. That's what Actyv.ai is, and we will continue to power the brick and mortar ecosystem of the world with this technology.
Thanks, Ram, for this. Since we have got around 10 odd minutes left, we were deliberating inside before this panel started, and what is one core thing that comes, which is common to agility, business model, customer centricity, and one core thing that came out was, out of the 4 Ps, that is the price, place, product, and promotion, price is something that is extremely important in today's world. You know, all of us sitting in this room, not only on this panel, price is the great influencer and manipulator and decision maker, and that's what it does to a business model. I want to ask very succinctly, if you can answer this question, especially to our retail members. How has price, or how is price affecting your business model today, which also is affecting the agility of your organization, and indirectly, inadvertently, it is also affecting the customer centricity. So we can start with Mr. Ram and Mr. Raghu, and then we can take it ahead to the other three retailers. Succinctly, because we have less time, please. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So like I said in my introductory stuff, so the cost of capital today from an equity with a venture partner or people who've been on board and various startups. So our focus is very clear. So from a price perspective, today, cost of capital, like I said, is the equity and then cost of debt. Every startup and the e-commerce or the technology-driven companies today are able to raise an amount of capital. The Indian SME ecosystem or the world's SME ecosystem, which contributes 50% of the GDP of every country, does not have capital today. Now, the reason for this not inaccessibility of capital is because of the larger data points and the structure that is currently prevailing, right? So our focus is very clear. So if you have to bring the cost of capital, I was just telling Raghu, so whenever you buy something, you make your money. It's not at the time of sale. So money is made, or the margins are made at the time of purchase. So our focus is clear that we need to reduce this cost of capital for the B2B and the SMB ecosystem as much as possible, that they make more margins. Okay. And that's what we will power, and that is where the price relevance into the future will come.
Thanks. Thanks, Ram. Raghu, over to you on this, please.
Yeah, so there's no doubt the inflation is hitting the economy, has hit the economy already, because with the field that we are in, that there is some kind of inflation, starting from your fuel prices to transportation to product, and especially in the industry that I'm in, the cotton prices have gone really crazy. So it's all pricing is sort of cost plus model. We have moved to target price model. So we need to do a lot of more engineering, and at the same time keeping the customer in mind. We as brand cannot exit certain price points, because when we talk about the valuation, the entry level price points have to be maintained. So how do you improve the internal efficiency? That's where the focus is on. So we have gone for certain optimization in terms of even the store manpower and also across the chain. At the same time, when I'm going to reduce the number of hands and legs, how do we improve the efficiency? That's where the digitalization and the IT system backbone is getting focused. So as I was talking about, the customer centricity is one, and the other one is how do we make the life easier for the customer representative working in the store, so that he is able to attend the consumer better. So today we have taken a couple of initiatives that now, probably from 6 months from now, I will ensure that there is no manual record to be maintained by any staff in the store. So every process is digitalized. Number of processes are getting reduced. And we have ensured that all the business management team will not ask one single data input from the store. Everything should be available on the back end, and they can, whatever is required, they can only raise a ticket to the IT system. So that is getting provided, right? So we make the life easier by giving different kind of applications. By the click of the button on the mobile, they're able to know what product, what quantity, what is available. The customer is finding certain size missing. What are the buddy store which has got nearby, which can be serviced from the store. All these things are all tech enabled. And at the same time, on the pricing side, how do we improve the efficiency? So we have started in the quality assurance department, basically the FRT, that's the first one, FTR, that's the first time right. That means how do we ensure the consumption of fabric is technologically ensured that it avoids the wastages. So we have ensured that 99.5% of our products, the average consumption of fabric has reduced by around 1%. So that That's the way we look at it. Each and every point of technology and every point of productivity efficiency, that is where we need to address the inflation, because the price increase can be done only once in a time, and it cannot be endless increase in price, because customers will vacate, because there are 10 more people available to offer a same kind of price point, a better price point. So that's the kind of market today. It is no more a seller's market; it's all a buyer's market. Price makes a lot of this thing. So internal efficiency and markdown management, these are the two things which are very essential. So historically, we focus on what is the sell-through, what are the quantity that we buy for a season, in how fast we are able to sell the product, use the better data analytics to redistribute the product, bring back the product, consolidate, put it in the full sets, and start rotating across the stores. So you hit 80-85% of the product purchased and it is sold within the season. That means most of your problems are resolved. So end of the day, how do we use the technology to improve the back-end efficiency is the only way to ward off the inflation. Of course, inevitable time, we may have to increase the price. That's what we are doing actually.
Okay, thank you. We are almost, the time is up. We have got close to 4 odd minutes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to request all our panelists to give 3 mantras, what they feel are the key for agility, business model and customer centricity, getting the ABCs right. So Raghu has given his, optimization, digitalization, etc. Now I would ask, Subhash ji, okay, what are his 3 mantras? And, we will succinctly, do it quickly because we have hardly got 4 minutes with us. So, the 3 mantras and then we
quickly,
everyone.
Hitesh,
Yeah, we are 8 of us.
I want to use this platform to drive one very strong message to everyone in this room. Everyone has a very wrong impression that online prices are cheap. Please erase that impression from your mind. In fact, at least in my industry, there is a strict regulatory from all the brands. There's something called MRP, which is as per the Legal and Metrology Act, Packages and Commodities Act, there has to be an MRP. But nobody sells on MRP in our industry, in mobile phone industry. There's something called MOP, which is market operating price. So nobody is allowed to sell 1 rupee lesser than market operating price. The brands come down heavily on anybody who is operating. At least officially, they cannot display a price which is lesser than the MOP. So all the online players have been strictly regulated. Therefore, for an offline store, where we are not publicly displaying the price, if you are standing in Sangeetha, you can still negotiate, we can still reduce and sell, because it is not in the public domain.
Sure.
So
thanks.
Therefore, this is one thing. Second thing, I'll take 30 seconds. See, recently we have done an integration. Our ERP is integrated with Apple Warehouse. Apple Warehouse in the sense Ingram Micro Warehouse. Ingram Micro is the national distributor. So Apple, as you all know, has so many SKUs. So none of our 750 stores on any day can have all the stocks, all the colors, all the variants of all the models, all the laptops, all the iPads, all the iPhones, all the AirPods, etc., etc. So today we have integrated. So if you as a customer is standing in Sangeetha store, any guy, whatever is there in Ingram's warehouse is seen on my ERP. And there is a direct highway without a Sangeetha corporate office placing a PO or no questions of credit limit, etc. So an order can be placed by the store guy and directly it lands up at the store in 48 hours.
Excellent.
So this is something for the first time we have just integrated 1 week ago. In fact, yesterday I had a breakfast meeting with Samsung and I was suggesting that they also should do it.
Done.
Okay, over to you.
Yeah, sir. So this is an agility example that, your business will become more agile. So the only three words, if you can keep it to 3 words, then, nothing better than. Subhash, 3 words from your end. I know you have a dictionary, but and you have given many of them. But what are those 3 words to get our ABCs right? Subhash ji, 3 words. For example, I can say, listen to your customer. So,
yeah. Well,
3 words.
I don't know. 3 words.
Okay, I will come to you last. Sir.
Yeah.
We'll start with
All right, I have three words. Simplify your customer journey. Make sure you get the basics right. Customer isn't the king unless you make him feel like one.
Okay, excellent.
Customer is your Annadata, so treat him like God. That's all.
Excellent. No, but it has to be implemented. Everybody knows the problem is not in knowing, problem is in implementing. And that's what you guys are doing very successfully. Please, PC.
So, vision is generally sacrosanct, but it takes a lot of time to traverse through the organization. So, passing it on to the last mile is the first thing. Second thing is that there are enough things in retail which is beyond staff, which also talks to a customer. So, ensuring that all that ecosystem also falls absolutely in right. And third is keep your feedback mechanisms in place so that customers, staff, product, whatever that gives you a feedback should be addressed so that business can be taken care of right.
Excellent. Avnish, okay. Avnish, yeah.
We are no gurus to tell you 3 mantras, but I think everybody is in retail, so it's all about being a brand. So invest in your brand, build your brand, sustain your brand. Eventually, all the problems we spoke today, if you're a brand, everybody will come to you. You can sell at your own monopoly. You can sell at your own price. Any inflation will... Fashion never has recession. We were all taught that. So you know that word, because I'm a fashion retailer, I can vouch for that. Fashion will never have recession. Ups and downs keeps coming. But if you're a brand, build, invest and sustain your brand and be your own disruption. Your yesterday thoughts with today's thoughts should be your own disruption. Don't let a disruption come to you. Be your own disruption. Think so drastically tomorrow that today's idea becomes your disruption tomorrow.
Excellent.
That's how you will grow.
Be your own disruption. We will have Ashutosh.
Okay, so nothing much. Mines are more internal. So the simple mantra to this is, it starts with the culture.
Culture.
So both customer centricity and agility can be only driven when you have culture in place.
Excellent.
That's number one. And number two is agility and copy moving away from your core. There is a thin line. So you need to be clear whether in the name of agility, you are moving away from your core. You need to maintain what your core is.
Excellent, excellent. We will have Ram. Three words. Sure.
Being a technology company, the focus is to say, can we kind of have the tool becoming a habit becoming a culture? So our focus is driving this entire platform to become the culture and the future of payments.
Okay. Raghuji, you had Raghuji, you had given your this. Okay.
I'll just add.
Yeah, one.
Thanks. Hitesh, if you would have fired this question to me like you did to Subhash, I would have said customer, customer and customer, the 3 ones. But since I got time to think, one is customer for sure. Second is look at your analytics, the business intelligence tools which you have. And the third one is create experiences for the customer, and the question regarding pricing would then cease to exist because they would then be an emotional connect with the customer.
Excellent, excellent. So Subhash ji has, as I told you, lots of things, but he has given his view. With this, I would like to end the session. So let me finalize and summarize what we have discussed in words. What the last question did answer. The answers came from all of you. We start with optimization. We start with digitization. Number of processes has to be reduced. We have to get internal efficiencies increased. We have to ensure markdown management. We have to look into analytics, customer experiences. We'll have to simplify our processes. We have to get our basics right. Customer is God. I totally agree with Subhash ji. At the core of our business always lies the customer. Last mile delivery, ecosystem management, feedback methodology. That is listen, listen, listen is something which all our panelists did speak about. Invest in brand, build your brand and sustain your brand. At the end of it, it's your brand that matters. Be your own disruption again, and culture is the core. Focus on core in the name of agility. Don't move away from your core. With this, I would like to thank our panelists today. Thank you very much for being a part of Retail Leadership Summit, last session of the day. I am sincerely, grateful to all of you, Ankur, Ashutosh, Avnish, PC, Raghu, RamKumar, Subhash ji, and Swami. Thank you very much.